So twist the peacock barb around the tying thread and then just wrap it around the hook shank to get this nicely packed, dense and protected peacock body. If this is all you're after, don't stop here, don't watch any further. But if you want to know why I twist it in a certain way, why I fold the hackle for the parachute, why I make the parachute post so rigid, and why I use GSP thread for everything, then watch the rest of the video and you'll find out. Now, army fish is very picky fish, it's very spooky fish, and I found just a couple of flies that almost always work for it. This fly is one of them. And as you can see, this fly was taken very confidently, so the fight was good and I was very happy with this fish. I mean, it's a good fighter, it's spooky, it's challenging fish, and I dedicate a lot of my time tying flies for these fish and thinking about it. Now, one of the things I realized is that they love terrestrials, and I don't think there is better material to imitate terrestrials than peacock barb. So let me show you how I deal with peacock barb. That's one of the reasons why I'm using it. And now to reinforce it without too many additional steps, I think twisting it around the thread is the easiest one. I'll show you why I do it. Now I'll use two threads here. One is white, the other one is orange. One can be peacock barb, the other one can be just tying thread. Now, if you just twist it, now they're parallel, as you can see. So if I twist it, let's say counterclockwise, and I start wrapping, you will see that they are still going parallel. The thread is flat, it's unwinding. So this is not protected. However, look what happens when I have just two parallel strands. There are two, okay? And I'll just start wrapping, and I'm not twisting anything. They're twisting themselves. You can see they're twisted together. So why not emphasize this, what happens just here? So just twist everything clockwise, in clockwise direction, like so, and then start wrapping. So as you wrap, they will actually wrap even more. You can see the thread is corded. It's like circular. It's like circle in cross section. That's why when you tie your peacock herl, twist it around your tying thread in clockwise direction. Now I'll wax my tying thread, which is Semperfli, and I'll just start everything here where I want thorax to begin. Now first of all, I'll show you how I do my parachute post. I just made a little bit of foundation here. Now parapost wing from hairline, and I'll start everything on the hook shank, on the top of the hook shank. For that, I'm pulling upwards to tighten everything up. I want to stop here, and then I'll go behind, couple of wraps, and then pull strong. Couple of wraps, pull strong. Couple of wraps, pull strong. That's it. That's secured. Now let's make a little bit of taper over here. Taper is here, so my transition is not abrupt. Everything is more smooth, and it's easier to deal with later on. So now this is the base of the whole fly, and if you make this wrong, everything else will be, well, less durable, less rigid, and the fly will not be the best fly of all. Now when you have this covered, let's go back and attach the feather first. So I'll just go back with my flat thread, as you can see, but before that I also want to go front, and I want to sandwich this. I'm pressing the thread against it, and then I'm creating a little bit of taper here. So I'm pressing this, and then creating a little bit more of taper. Press. I'll have to grease the bobbin holder, obviously. It's making those squeaky sounds. Okay. Now I'll rotate everything here, and I'll do so because it's just more natural. We all used to do this. Recommended by Wayne Lou Allen. he told me, like, why don't you just rotate it? It's more natural. And it is. As you can see, it's way more natural. After a couple of loose wraps, tighten everything. And you can see that this makes, this starts to be more thin. Now look at this. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 or 6 loose wraps. As you can see, it's relatively thick, but as soon as you pull your hand and the thread in the opposite directions, everything tightens and gets thinner, meaning that you already made this parachute post more rigid. And already it's like a, not like a hook, but it's pretty decent thing to tie on. It's also done with flat thread, so I make everything more smooth, so when you start wrapping the hackle will wrap more beautifully on it. So I'll do a couple of more wraps. It looks like a lot right now, but it's not, and I'll explain why. When you wrap your peacock feather on this, the peacock has some volume to it, yeah? So it will occupy a little bit. Now, I'll do the number of 8 here, like figure of 8, and then tighten everything. Then figure of 8, tighten everything, and transition, and everything is more rigid right now. Now it's time to take the feather, sorry. The feather is from whitening, and as I found out, it's golden badger, and it's really beautiful, speckled. It's not uniform, and so it's like a surprise every time you use a feather. Now I'm using a rather large feather, as you can see here. It covers all the way to the hook panel. That's what I like, because the parachute is what's holding your fly on the top of the water. I'll remove a couple of these barbs. Well, I can remove more. That's it. And notice that on this side there are 2 or 3 barbs more that I moved. Now I want to fold the feather, and this is something I picked up from Gordon van der Spy. So less barbs, I will wrap like this. So I want to fold that side. I want to fold it because it will pack more beautifully when I start wrapping, and you will see that very soon. So I'm just holding my thumb against the feather and then pressing those upper barbs to go down on the other side. Sometimes it goes better, sometimes it doesn't go so well. Depends on the feather. Those rooster feathers should fold more easily, but sometimes they're not. So just do it like so. And when I think I have enough, I'll just stop it. It's better to have more than not enough. Okay. Some of them are not very obedient. Okay. This is kind of okay now. Now, I will wrap it like this, so shiny side towards me. But remember, oops, I dropped it. Remember, now they're like looking to your right. Now I'll just make it easier for me, so I'll just twist it. I'll take it. Oops. Okay. 2 wraps, 2 loose wraps, and then reposition everything if I'm not sure about it. Okay. And now I'll show you how I do it. So every couple of wraps, I'll just tighten everything more, make it more rigid. Okay, now you will notice that I'm not going all the way up with my thread. I'll just leave a little gap below. And that's because of the first wrap I'm gonna make when I start doing my parachute post. And as you can see, I'm doing quite a bit. You can see the hook is moving nicely. So the parachute post is quite rigid already. Now it's time for the star of the show, and that's peacock. Depending on the hook size, you want to choose less or more peacock barbs, obviously, but you also want to make them rather long, because what I want is I want to cover the whole hook without stopping for thorax or whatever. Now, I don't like this. It can twist around the thread and it becomes, it's gonna fight with you. so you don't need that. You also don't need the tips because they're fragile. So cut the tips as well. Counterspin the bobbin holder, and then just wrap your peacock and go behind. Pull those barbs like so, so all those small hairs pop up. You'll need that later. So what I like to do is I like to go down the hook into the bend a little bit more, because I want this body. The whole idea with terrestrials, they're bad swimmers, so they go a little bit deeper into the water. Now what I like to do is I'll just twist this a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing, and reverse it so the thread doesn't pop down. As I was saying, clockwise direction, and you want to make this as a chenille, so that twist it in clockwise direction, twist, twist and twist, and go down the rope and twist until you're satisfied with the look of this chenille rope that you just got. Don't need much, because as you start wrapping, it's gonna look beautiful. I'm gonna just twist it like so. If you keep it this way, it's gonna stack itself, as you can see. And now here, I'm gonna twist it my way so I can see what I'm doing, and go back into the horizontal plane. This is a part where you don't want to lose the tension on the thread and the hook. Okay, now open wrap, and then go back a little bit more, and then finish behind the post. That's very important. Now untwist everything, hold it tight, and then with your thread go around the post a couple of times to reinforce this peacock from unspinning. And then okay, this is it. Time to cut everything. That's it. Let me see. Okay, now you have a beautifully done body that's very dense, very lifelike. And then let's unwind this and start wrapping. Now again, I'm gonna twist it in this plane that I'm more comfortable with working with. Now first wrap goes on the top of it. It didn't. Okay, now it's good. So first one goes on the top, but every next one goes under the previous. That's very important. Now you will see it doesn't fight, it stays in the plane. That's very important. It stays in the plane, and you pack it as much as you can without fighting too much with it. Now when you think you have enough, I'll try just to add one more, and I think I'm good. I'll go with 2 wraps, loose wraps, as you can see, and then I'll tighten. Okay, you can see that. Now I'll go with wraps under everything, and these wraps will actually lift up those barbs a little bit. So I'll just tighten it a little bit again. It's time to cut the feather, but don't cut it like so, because you will cut the barbs of the feather as well. You want just to cut the rachis. So open the scissors, push them against the rachis, done. Now you can help yourself by doing so a couple of times if you want. I like to use whip finishing tool for this. For this I do have more control with whip finishing tool. Keep the parachute post short for this one, otherwise it's gonna twist as it did. But if it's short, it's very easy to untwist, like to just pull it out. Then pull everything. And as you can see, done. Now this fly will ride very low with parachute hackle, keeping it on the surface, and then cut this as much as you want as long as you want, but keep it longer than you want, because it's always easier to cut it short on the water. As you can see, I keep it relatively flat with the hook bend, because there is more surface tension keeping my fly on the surface. When you grease this fly, it's important to grease it. Or don't use the spray. If you do, hold the body and just spray the hackle and the parachute post. If you use any kind of grease that's like you apply on your fingers, that's something I've watched as a kid, Oliver Edwards, when he was explaining the tools behind Clean Hammer. He was explaining like do a little bit of, I think he used dilly wax or something, so on the parachute post, and then just go around the hackle and do this. You want your body submerged below the water film. That's very important for this. So that's why you just do this greasing part above my dubbing needle. Everything below should be soaked wet. Now guys, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, and see you next time.